a rough time with pay cuts and job losses as a result of COVID-19. I guarantee you, as you sit there watching this now, you know someone in your circle that has either lost their jobs or has taken a cut in their salaries. At the same time, though, prices of goods and services are climbing. So how do you cope? How do you cope with the rising cost of living and get out of the debt that you've been racking up? Hopefully, Debt Rescue CEO Neil Roets, you're going to tell us that you shouldn't be in debt, but if wishes were what we could base our lives on, we'd all be very happy. A lot of us living in debt and we can't get out of it. Just how bad is it?
No, it's very bad, unfortunately. And yes, the ideal situation would have been if nobody had debt, but that's not the reality. Most of us do need debt to get on with our lives. And unfortunately, together with COVID and all the price increases and the fact that salaries has not increased accordingly and job losses, the situation is looking very, very bad. According to the stats from the National Credit Regulator, almost half of all credit active consumers are currently over-indebted, meaning that they are in arrears with at least 3 payments on one of their accounts. And the situation is just getting worse and worse because of the fact that we're seeing more price increases and more strain on jobs.
So let's talk about what we can try and do to fix this, because I think it's very easy, if you haven't blown your credit rating already, to run into the bank and ask for a 5th credit card. It's never a good idea. At what point does someone who's very indebted, Neil, need to start making difficult decisions? I'm not talking about buying less takeaways. I'm talking about deciding if they can drive the fancy car and live in the 4-bedroom house. Real adulting decisions. At what point do you recommend we get to that stage?
Well, I think we already reached that point a long time ago where everybody had to look at their own affairs and make those decisions and take stock and see what their real financial situation is and what they should do to carry on. And you're 100% right. You know, you cannot borrow your way out of debt. So if you're struggling financially, the answer would never be to take out another loan, because that means that this is just going to get, the situation will get worse and worse and worse, and you're not going to get out of it. So we are very fortunate in South Africa to have some of the best remedies available of its kind in the world. For instance, if we look at the National Credit Act that provides debt counseling, that's a process that's, since its inception, helped hundreds and thousands of people to get out of debt without losing their assets. And this is actually the perfect mechanism to get people out of debt during these times, people who are suffering. But apart from that, the most important thing to start off with is to be realistic with yourself, draw up a budget, bring in all these unforeseen circumstances and costs that will inevitably arise at some stage, and look at your situation and see whether you do have enough money to pay for all your living expenses during the course of the month, and also have enough money left to pay all your credit providers. And
I'm sorry, Neil, before I let you go, because people can come to Debt Rescue as well to try and get more information on this as well. Last question to you, last minute. What if someone is so in the dwang right now that they've got creditors phoning them to take away their cars, to have their children removed from school, to have locks put on their doors? Because there are people in that situation at the moment that they're at the end of the road. They've got no options left, not even a debt rescue. What do you do?
No, there's a lot of people who find themselves in that situation, but you need to get into contact with somebody who can advise you. And that's the thing. That's what we can do at Debt Rescue, or that's what other debt counselors can also do, is to look at your situation and see what is the best remedy for you. Be that debt counseling, like we just discussed now, or perhaps something else. It might also be voluntary sequestration. If you're in a situation where you lost your income, you lost your job, and you still have all this massive of debt, voluntary sequestration is the best way of getting rid of this debt. And it's also the responsible thing to do. So that's why it's important to just get into contact with somebody and discuss this. You can discuss this with an attorney or with a debt counselor, but the reality is that sometimes people are so distressed that they do not think that there's any way out. And they feel that the world is just coming crashing onto them. And just ask for help. The important thing is go out and ask for help. It is there.
It is. Debt Rescue CEO Neil Roets, I think, helping a lot of people calm down. You really can get out of this. Just don't be the ostrich in the sand, because lending and ignoring is not going to make the problem go away. Always a pleasure, Neil Roets. I'm sure we'll talk again.